Hello, everybody, and welcome back to The Advisor with Stacey Chillemi. Today, I'm very excited because we have Don Lazzari, and he has a marketing consultant agency, and he is the president of Delivery and Value. And he is an amazing gentleman that has a lot of knowledge about business. And today, we're going to talk a little about, he's going to share his own advice about how to start a successful business, and also some tools, tricks, and strategies that he learned along the way that could help a lot of small businesses that either are just starting up or businesses that wanted to grow and excel to the next level. So, Don, I'm so excited to have you on our show today. I am dying to hear your advice. We have so many people on our show that just want to learn how to start their business, how to do it the right way. And then we have our group that, is a little stuck sometimes or don't know how to do certain things, and they really want to learn the right way of doing things so they can move to the next level and make those 6 or 7 figures that they're looking to make. So tell us a little about, for number one, how can someone start their business and have a successful business?
Sure. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. It's nice to be here. Good to meet you.
Good to meet
And
you too.
secondly, in the preamble, we were kind of talking about this a little bit. I'm about to cross the 15-year mark in my sales performance consulting business. And I was thinking back to what was it like right when I was thinking about starting. And I
Mhm.
got two really good pieces of advice. One, I had gotten 7 to 10 years before I started my business when I began expressing the desire to do so. And I was talking with a successful entrepreneur who'd had a sales representatives business where he repped a bunch of different lines. And his bit of advice was make sure you have a year of expenses saved up before you go into your own business so that
Mhm.
you don't put yourself under undue pressure. That
Right.
was great advice. I made sure before I started my business that I had that put aside. And it does make it a lot easier in the early days if you have a war chest that you can go to without taking on credit
Yeah.
and keep the pressure off of yourself. Fundamental. Number two piece of advice is um, think about what it is that you're really good at.
Hmm.
When I thought about what I wanted to do to start a business, I thought about so many different ideas, and then I thought, well, what has made me successful up to this point? And I thought it's been assembling and leading teams to perform and therefore drive growth. That's
Right.
what I've been good at. So I didn't venture into whatever a roofing business or a deck business or something like that. I went with something that was a core competency. And then the third bit of advice which puts a smile on my face, but so true. Jump in with both feet and don't look back.
Yeah.
Once you make the decision, go all in and stay all in. You're probably aware of this. Most small businesses don't make it past 5 years.
Yep.
And if you make it past five, you're doing really well. If you make it past 10, you've been doing a great job and you should really feel good about it. So for anyone out there that's really thinking about, I'd really like to get a little more control of my time, which is why I started a business. I've probably been on 1,500 airplane flights without any exaggeration.
Yeah.
And I really wanted a little less money and a little more lifestyle. Uh,
Yeah.
we're not talking about retiring. We're just talking about getting a little more balance
Yeah.
and that do it. Make sure you think about it and do it.
I love that advice. I think a lot of people didn't even think about the saving enough of income for a year for the investment of the business. That's great advice because a lot of people have an idea, they have limited money. I've seen this all the time. And they're just very excited. They want to jump into it, or maybe they're struggling financially and they just want to find that right area of business where they can focus on, and it will bring them the income that they're looking for, and they'll be able to have that life or future retirement down the road that they also want. Because a lot of people, you get drained very easily when it becomes, especially when you're an entrepreneur. People think, oh yeah, it's great to be an entrepreneur, but you're putting a lot of hours in. People don't realize how much time goes into being a successful entrepreneur and how much work is involved. Now, you had mentioned that you had written a book and you had broken down to three sections, and these are different topics that are really important, especially if you want to have a successful business. Can you tell us a little about the book and the three categories that, that are in the book and why they're so important?
Sure, sure. The name of the book is Entrepreneur Sales Secrets Revealed. I just happen to have a copy sitting right next to me. And it's broken into three sections because for almost 15 years now, I've worked with entrepreneurs, some solopreneurs just getting off the ground, others that are looking to scale, others that are looking to kind of go to the next level of growth.
Yeah.
And they're it's really a process that folks go through, and there are similarities in perspectives, is
Mhm.
what I've learned after working with more than 50 companies. And so if I'm a solopreneur, and all businesses start as a solopreneur unless you're really lucky,
Yeah.
right? The guy who started Nike sold tennis shoes out of the back of his car,
Yep.
right? Colonel Sanders sold fried chicken out of his gas station. You start out as just being on your own. So
Yeah.
little advice for those folks when it comes to sales, because I mean, cash is king. You don't have to have an MBA to figure that out. And you'll
Right.
figure it out in a heartbeat once you become an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
But you got to start with how do I make my business compelling? You know,
Right.
what can I do to encapsulate my benefits in as few words as possible?
Mhm.
Because a mistake I often see people make is they go in, and as one of the folks I coached way back when said, they enter a room mouth first. And so they come in, it's a filibuster of features or capabilities or whatever. You really need to shrink that down into a very defined set. You kind of need to make the mash into whiskey.
Yeah.
I refer to that as the big three. So, what are the three reasons why people might want to do business with you? So, let me give you a specific example. Um, a company that sold speech recognition technology into nursing homes to help with documentation and reimbursement. Their big three were better documentation, better care. I'm sorry, better documentation, better reimbursement, better care.
Hmm.
Really encapsulated everything they could do with an offering that was highly functional.
Yeah.
So you got to think about that. How can I distill it down so that it's easy to remember? Because most
Yeah.
people can't remember more than three things. Most
Right.
people buy for more than two or three reasons.
Yeah.
Make sure you zero in on that. And coupled with that, don't underestimate how risky you are when you're first getting started in the eyes of the buyer.
Right.
There's a quote I love from Jeff Bezos, which is, "We are pioneers, and the record of pioneers is not that good." You need to kind of keep that in mind, that you want to offset that risk. And so, if you're a solo entrepreneur, how do you do that?
Yeah.
You don't do that by talking about your product or yourself. You talk about how others have used it and applied,
Yes.
because people want to hear, how have others like me been successful with this?
Yes.
So that would be, some key advice I'd give to solopreneurs. And by the way, in the book, we do have a website that you can go to with templates and exercises and whatnot that we talk about. So
Hmm.
it's very interactive and practical. For folks who have kind of launched and they have a small team and they're sitting there going, boy, why am I still doing so much selling? I'd like to focus on scaling this company and grow it. Why am I doing so much selling? And
Yeah.
that's typically when they start to hire salespeople.
Hmm.
And I see some fundamental um, perspective missteps, let's call them there. I don't want to call them mistakes because they're not necessarily mistakes. It's just kind of misconceptions. Um, One of them is, um, you know what, this product is so impressive, it's just gonna sell itself. We're superior. Well, sorry, that never happens.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of good products that don't have good sales have been less than successful.
Yeah.
Uh, Secondarily, um, sales talent is not a commodity.
Hmm.
Finding good salespeople is difficult.
Yes.
There are plenty of people in sales that are charmers. There are plenty of people in sales that like to be in front of people, but the people that are going to make your company grow are the ones with drive and the
Yes.
ones that have to be number one, uh,
Hmm.
regardless, and that will go the extra mile.
Yeah.
You need to focus on finding those people.
Right.
And when you're going through that process, what you need to do is assume that any candidate that comes through the door is a no until they convince you it's a yes.
Right.
Most people go about it the other way around. Um, and then third, because there are so many charming people in sales, don't fall for the trap. Put them through their paces.
Yeah.
So I recommend something, and I've used this for more than 20 years now, called the hot seat interview. So
Right.
what you do is you have a candidate come in, or you can do this over Zoom or whatever
Yeah.
remote technology now, but they have an assignment for the interview team.
Hmm.
And they've talked to people already, so this is kind of their final dance.
Right.
First 15 minutes, uh, overview on why they're a good fit for the role,
Hmm.
and pitch you on why they're a good fit. They're selling.
Right.
Second, have them do an overview presentation on your company based on whatever they can find on the internet. Don't work them over about accuracy of facts. What you're
Yeah.
looking for is style and how they assemble a pitch.
Yeah.
15 minutes for each section. No going over. Make it
Hmm.
clear to the candidate they have to do it in 15. Because every meeting that we do in sales, there's a time limit to it, whether or not it says so on the calendar.
Right.
Uh, so they've got to be able to deliver that and do it. And I had a client that I did this with just recently, and he was, if he were on, he would admit he was dubious. And so I said, trust me on this. It works. Give it a try. We had two candidates. The one that he felt was the clear leader, she did not do well.
Yeah.
She crashed and burned. Uh,
Mm.
the one person who, um, you know, we really felt was capable, but we didn't think was the leader. She came in and absolutely shined.
Yeah.
And that format will really make a difference. The people who are good uh,
Hmm.
will just absolutely come in and just nail it. And
Right.
you'll have no doubts about the hire. Uh,
Right.
many will fail at it, and enough will wobble enough that you're thinking, yeah, then maybe this isn't the right person.
Right.
So that would be my advice for those two phases.
I love it. I love it. I think it's really important to get those right people on your team. A lot of times people, when they hire people, they don't find the right people. You know, that's one of the biggest things I actually hear from people. It's so hard to find good employees. And it really can really hinder the business. You know, if you have someone come in and they're negative, they're going to bring negativity to the business. If you come in and you have a salesperson, like you said, maybe they have charm and charisma, but they're too much of a salesperson and they don't sound sincere. You know, that's going to hurt the sales, which is a big part of the business. So it's really important to try to find those right people. Do you have any advice? You know, you gave some advice just now when you were talking about, what to ask them. Is there any additional advice when it comes to figuring out the right team that will really help you excel to the level that you want to be at?
Well, I mean, when it comes to candidates, I really think you got to spend a lot of time on having them give you the anatomy of a win and then
Hmm.
turn around and give you the anatomy of a loss. Uh,
Right.
the good ones, no, chapter, verse, and footnote on both. And
Yeah.
the really good ones will tell you in the losses that it was their fault. If
Hmm.
someone tells you that it was, well, I lost that because we didn't have a product feature or because of this, that, and the other, you don't hear that from the best.
No.
The best think they can win every deal. And if they don't, it was their fault.
Right.
I missed something. Uh,
Hmm.
or, you know what, I didn't do a good enough job of connecting the dots.
Yeah.
One. Two, regardless of the people that you bring on, you got to make sure that you put customer needs front and center in selling situations.
Right.
Big companies put their company first or their product first. None of that matters. If you can put that at the end. Earlier in my career, I worked full time for Rockwell Automation,
Hmm.
and I came from a smaller entrepreneurial company, and we really put the customer at the center of the picture. And I
Yeah.
remember going to Rockwell and seeing the first presentation they did, and 15 slides were about Rockwell before they even talked about the customer. You don't want to do that, right?
Yeah.
That's not how to do this. Focus on the customer. Spend a lot of time asking insightful questions so that you really understand their need and their motivations. And the
Right.
motivation can be beyond business, as you're well aware.
Yeah.
It could be personal, it could be political, it could be career, who knows? But once you figure that out, then you just have to focus everything on that. But when it comes to building a team, I think another misconception that people have is I want a team of A players. Well, everyone does, but no one gets it. Uh,
Right.
in most teams, 20% are going to be your A players, 60% are going to be your Bs, and 20% you either need to decide to develop or decide to broaden their employment horizons. Uh,
Right.
because sales is a performance-based business, not unlike professional sports. If you don't win, you don't get to keep your job,
Yeah.
and you've got to make that clear.
Right.
But most people don't understand the value of an A player, because sometimes you don't get one.
Yeah.
You do, they can be magic.
Yeah.
Uh, but they don't understand, and there are studies that back this up in Harvard Business Review on sales coaching. And you really can only move a person a half a step in talent.
Yeah.
So if they're B, you can get them to B plus, but they're not going to be A.
Right.
And if they're B plus, you might be able to get them to A minus, and that's okay. But
Yeah.
you got to keep that in mind. You
Right.
got to keep it in mind. Um, but as you go beyond that and your company gets bigger, um, you need to figure out ways to manage that group of people, because they're the catalyst to your growth.
Yeah.
If you don't, you can have a fantastic product, you can have a killer development team, you can have a great idea, but if you don't have people that know how to connect the dots between the customer's needs and
Hmm.
what the product does and why they should want to have it,
Yeah.
we're going to fall short of the target.
Right.
To get that and to get to a number, to keep yourself happy, to keep your investors happy, to keep the board happy,
Hmm.
um, you have to figure out a way to manage that performance once you get beyond a couple of people.
Right.
That's part 3 of what we talk about in the book, which is sales vital signs.
Mm.
That's a way of looking at the selling function as an end-to-end process. So
Right.
at the very beginning, there's interest creation, and at the very end, there's resolution, preferably a one deal.
Yeah.
Uh, and there are little measures along the way that we go into detail about on how to do that, how to get it into your CRM.
Right.
Generally, what's new in incoming interest, that's new to funnel. Uh,
Hmm.
how much do I have in that funnel that's developing interest that's not yet action?
Yeah.
Then what's new into the pipeline, which is where action occurs?
Yeah.
How much do I have in the pipe? And then what's coming out the other end, performance to quota.
Right.
Manage across those 5 things and metric just those 5 things across the team and across each individual. You're going to drive the performance that you need, and you're going to squeeze out any subjectivity about whether or not that person's performing.
Right.
Because again, getting back to an earlier thread, it's all about the numbers. We've got to perform.
Yes.
Sales, I say this all the time. Your job as a salesperson is not to sell stuff.
Right.
Your job is to hit quota. And
Yes.
you do that by selling stuff.
Hmm.
A lot of people don't understand that.
Right.
And if you've got a system set up to metric that, you can see whether or not people are going to be able to keep pace to hit a number, whether
Hmm.
or not they need help, whether or not they need a boost from marketing,
Right.
whether or not they need coaching because they're not moving things through the pipe, or
Yeah.
the close ratios aren't where they need to be. If you systematize that stuff and you talk about it with the team every week, uh,
Hmm.
it's gonna be a rising tide that floats all boats.
Right.
That's been the basis of a lot of the consulting that we've done for companies is helping them to understand once they're to that phase and they're beyond scaling and they have a team, how do
Hmm.
you get that team to perform?
Yeah.
And that's normally not a quick key competency for most entrepreneurs. They're idea people, they're technology people, or they're just smart people and how to put the investors together.
Right.
But a lot of them are not, adept sales management, sales performance folks,
Right.
which of course has created opportunities for businesses like mine.
Right. Oh, so true. So true. And you had mentioned earlier about scaling. A lot of people have a difficult time because a lot of people are afraid to scale. They're afraid to scale because, oh, if I higher my prices, they're not going to want to buy, my product anymore. Or they don't know how much to scale their business. Or some of them, that I've come across, they are afraid of they don't basically they don't think they're worthy, so they underscale themselves. I see that a lot, especially in startup businesses and small businesses. When they first start as a solopreneur, they underscale themselves. So here they are, they're working and they're working their tail off. And then at the end of the week, they have these low sales numbers and they're frustrated because they can't pay the bills. They're not making as much as they want to make. And it's hard to grow when you are underscaling yourself. For people, can you give some helpful advice when it comes to scaling?
Sure, sure. First of all, don't make the mistake. I do this lunch and learn called the 10 mistakes that entrepreneurs make and how to avoid them. And
Hmm.
we start at 10, we kind of do a David Letterman style
Yeah.
countdown.
Uh-huh.
And we get to number one. Number one is the mistake is nobody can do this better than me.
Hmm.
First of all, keep that in mind, right?
Yeah.
Your job as the entrepreneur is to build and lead the team that takes you to the promised land by
Yes.
finding really talented people
Right.
and enabling them.
Yes.
A leader leads from the front.
Yeah.
They say, "Get behind me, and this is where we're going to go."
Right.
Um,
Exactly.
Number one. Number two, some people don't hire sales fast enough.
Yeah.
Uh, you as a solopreneur, you want to get out of the sales business as quickly as you can when you're scaling,
Yes.
because anytime you're spent down in the weeds trying to get deals closed is an opportunity cost on you thinking about strategy and thinking about the next step.
Right.
Your job as the solopreneur is you're almost like a grandmaster in chess. You're going to be you got to be thinking 5, 6 moves ahead.
Yeah.
You can't do that when you're fighting sales battles. Uh,
Right.
One, two. Once you have a couple of salespeople, don't think that your next step is to hire a third.
Yeah.
Sales tend to be the more expensive people on your team. You know what? Hire supporting roles.
Right.
Hire digital marketing, or
Hmm.
hire someone to come in and do events for you, or whatever for your that's suitable for your market space.
Yeah.
Marketing talent can help you a lot. And don't hire more salespeople until the two salespeople that you have say, "I'm losing deals because I can't address them."
Right.
Most people hire too soon.
Mm.
You're better off having a fat pipeline than you are having a skinny pipeline with more salespeople.
Right.
I see that too often,
Yeah.
right? And that goes back to the whole sales vital signs. If I know what my vital signs are, then I know what I need to do.
Yeah.
And I just did a year in review for a client, and they fell short of their number for the year. And I got involved with them mid-year. And when we looked at the end of the year as to what went on, it was apparent that they only competed in about two-thirds the value of all the deals they competed in was only two-thirds of what their entire number needed to be. So
Uh,
they never had enough pipe to win it.
right.
So it's not always about adding salespeople to scale. Add people to make your pipeline fat, and
Mm.
then add salespeople to harvest, so to speak.
Yeah.
Don't make your salespeople push you towards that third hire, hire marketing or supporting sales supporting roles.
Yeah.
Or I mean, and there are a number of different ways to go about that. Also, when you're scaling, the companies, both in full time work that I've done and consulting work that I've done, that tend to be more successful than others, hire a marketing lead that is sales minded, that
Right.
realizes that this isn't about producing clever things or producing things that cosmetically look good or the branding's impressive. It's really about driving interest that drives sales.
Right.
Get someone in that leads a marketing function to do that and builds a team to do that.
Hmm.
It can be a multiplier.
Right.
I think often that's not recognized to the extent that it should be.
Oh yeah, I agree. I agree. That's amazing. Now, where can people find your book? Where is your book available?
Well, you can go to my website, deliveringvalue.com. You can go there and there's a link. Of course, it's on Amazon and you can get it in Kindle and in the print version.
Hmm.
Very easy to find that there. As far as just me, you can always find me on LinkedIn, and I also publish a weekly article on Substack.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to all the topics we talked about, is there anything else that you wanted to mention that you think has a really important aspect that people need to know about when they are either a startup business or they're trying to grow their business?
Um, if I could shrink it down to a single concept,
Hmm.
um, it would be don't confuse your compelling reason to sell with the client's compelling reason to buy.
Right.
And all too often people do that. And by the way, that's not my quote. That's a quote from a book that was written by a gentleman by the name of Paul Weifels. It's called the Chasm Crossing Companion. I read it 25 years ago,
Oh,
but
wow.
but an excellent book about scaling.
Yeah.
When it comes, because my expertise really is sales and sales performance.
Yeah.
That book talks about everything,
Wow.
product, partners, etc.
Yeah.
But that I often see people do that. And I often see entrepreneurs when we're doing workshops just have a grin come across their face when they realize that they are confusing their compelling reason to sell. And to
Right.
make that a little less conceptual,
Hmm.
excuse me, make that a little less conceptual. For example, um, how many people do you think, and I'm talking about a technology company, how many people do you think are sitting out there going, boy, I'd really like to find a cloud based, AI driven, easy to use piece of software? No, what they're thinking is, how can I get an extra 10% customer satisfaction?
Right.
How can I get a better return on the money I spend on sales? They're
Right.
thinking about a tool, they're thinking
Yeah.
about solving a business problem. You got to focus on that. I don't care which level of development you're in. The
Yeah.
successful companies do that. They drive to the customer need by asking a ton of insightful questions, and then they sell to that need.
Yeah.
That's how to win, regardless of the space you're in. I don't care if you're selling Windows to consumers or if you're selling technology to big businesses.
Yeah.
That's the key. That's the key to success.
I
So.
love it. I love it. Now, if we had to look at today's conversation and you want to emphasize on a couple important takeaways, what would be those takeaways that you really want people to remember?
Well, the one we just mentioned, don't confuse your compelling reason to sell with the client's compelling reason to buy. Um, Two, really go into a meeting about so-called sales without thinking about wanting to sell something to someone. Go
Right.
meeting thinking about how can I fully understand what's driving this person's need to talk to me.
Yeah.
And if you can get to that, and really spend some time understanding that and then summarize it to them to say, well, it sounds to me like what you're really trying to do is, increase your awareness in the space by 10%. Get
Right.
them to agree to that and then talk about all the ways you can help them do that.
Yeah.
Definitely. And then lastly, remember that sales talent isn't a commodity. If
Hmm.
you can find someone good, figure out how to keep them.
Yeah.
Because they can take you to success, and they set the bar for the rest of the team
Yeah.
to strive for, and they're game changers. They're game changers.
I love it. I love it. Oh, this has been amazing. Now, once again, where can people find you?
Deliveringvalue.com, that's the name of my company.
Hmm.
Um, they can find me on LinkedIn under Don Lazzari.
Hmm.
They can find me on Substack under Entrepreneur Sales Secrets Revealed, same title as the book.
Hmm.
Of course, they can find the book out on Amazon.
And before we go, can you tell everybody about the services that you provide?
Sure, sure. We focus on sales performance. And so we do several things for companies. One, we come in and do workshops to help them put together the sales vital signs frameworks that we talked about.
Yes.
So if you've already got a team and you've already got a sales manager, but you're looking for really a better way to manage this because being able to achieve certain milestones
Yeah.
in revenue have been challenging. Um, we do that, and that's sales performance management. Show you how to get that into Salesforce or whatever CRM you're using, and
Hmm.
the leadership on how to go forward with that. And often we'll even sit in on the first couple of months of one-on-ones, which is a key part of that.
Yeah.
Putting a system in place is one thing. Having the discipline to talk about that week after week with the sales team holds
Yeah.
them accountable just by virtue of the fact that you're talking every week.
I love it.
Um, that's big, big, big. We also will do fractional sales management
Hmm.
where maybe they don't have a sales leader yet,
Yeah.
but they know they need one. And
Yeah.
in most instances, until you have honestly 5 or 6 salespeople,
Hmm.
you don't need to hire a full-time sales manager
Right.
because they're not going to stay busy unless you're
Yeah.
really lucky. You're really lucky. So fractional sales managers is actually a good bridge to the future where the CEO can get out of just the weekly one-on-ones, the weekly talking about deals, only be alerted when necessary. So what we'll do is we'll run that weekly sales team call. We'll do the one-on-ones. We'll maintain the forecast and do everything a sales manager would do except a ride along or sitting in additional meetings.
Yeah.
Thirdly, we'll do leadership coaching for the sales leader. How can we make them more effective? Because often what we'll find is companies will promote their best salesperson into sales leadership. And
Hmm.
that's always a good fit, or it's not always a comfortable fit.
Yeah.
And it's a different skill set to lead a team to a number than it is to just go out there and get after it and get to a number when
Yeah.
you're on. So those are primarily the three things that the business does.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, this has been amazing, Don. I really enjoyed this conversation. I think it's so important. There's so much that you had mentioned today that's such valuable information. And I would love to have you back on the show to go more in depth about a lot of these topics. You have talked about many things from beginning your business to really important factors that really help you grow and succeed in business. And, common, obstacles that business people really face on a daily basis that don't know how to handle, and how simple tweaks and how simple changes could actually make huge positive impacts on in their business. So this has been really valuable, and I really appreciate you, and I appreciate you coming on, and I just thank you for your time.
I'd love to come back. Ask me anytime, Stacey. And if you want to email me your address, I'll send you a copy of the book.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Sure,
Well,
sure.
you have a great day. Thank you so much.
You too, and I hope you get your husband to Sicily this year.
I'm trying.